Hold on. Okay, we're live on YouTube. Hold on, maybe we resume recording, and we're live. YouTube, baby. Dr. Harmony under
Hi.
Parody.
I do like YouTube better than the other platforms,
Yeah.
so I'm glad
So
we're here. And not that I like
me,
YouTube, but it is what it is.
me too. And the beauty of this all is we're here to drip on you guys on a bi-monthly basis, Dr. Harmony and I. Some information, some detailed information through our experience, our lives, our work in the relationship dynamics, men and women, and the dance and the confusion and the the frustration that comes with.
It is frustrating though. I mean, seriously, Andre. I mean, we are so uniquely different as male and female that it is shocking that we just even like each other. And the fact that we want to be with, I mean, it's really a testament to the sanctity and sacredness of oneness, right? Of that interdependence,
Amen.
because
Amen.
we crave it so much, but yet it's really challenging.
Well, the thing is, I just did a TED talk, as you know, it's about to be released this week, hopefully. And my whole thing is about the relationship dynamics, men and women, and like I call it the dance of relationship. I use Argentine tango as a metaphor. But Argentine tango, like a relationship, right? It completed two different beings coming together as one, right? Like a marriage. So the concept, one of the things I say is what's essential and what's primary that people don't understand is in nature has this opposites attract thing that we think is cute. Oh, it's cute. It's just a phrase. No, with my research and my studies of this dynamic men and women for freaking 18 years, right? What happens is, again, look at your own relationship, right? There's a complete separation of everything. Like, first of all, is there anything more opposite to a man than a woman? Is there anything more opposite to a woman than a man, right? So first off, but that's the attraction. It's the fact that we're completely different that makes us kind of like, wow, this person is mysterious, right? Like there's something amazing about them, unique, like a different creature that makes us curious, but that polarizes us. It's called nature, right? It's like a yin yang thing.
Yeah.
Masculine and feminine, positive, negative magnets, they pull, yin yang pulls. However, it makes it difficult because we're so different, right? So the first year of getting to know each other, we're like fascinated with this creature that is so different, right? A lot of magnetism. And within a year, they get on our nerves because we want them to act like us, behave like us, value what we value, talk to us the way we want to be talked to, blah, blah, blah. And so all these expectations come forward. Women think men should be acting more like women because women apparently know better in relationships. Really interesting. But that's the fact out there. They actually believe, I hear this all the time. Well, we know better. Like we know what love is. We
Oh, but
understand.
isn't the divorce rate in the lesbian community higher? Like the
Yeah.
divorce rate in the gay male
Yeah.
homosexual community
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
substantially lower than everybody.
76, 76%,
Everybody.
76%, lesbians and 27 for gay men. The
And
rest for
80% because of women, most
right.
of
Women always pull the trigger. Women,
mhm,
women
in the
initiate,
heterosexual. So
initiate. Yeah.
really, we're the experts?
So, but women believe that, right? They're actually there's an arrogance about this, about like we know better. We're more sensitive. We're more loving. We're more kind. If you just act right, like not like men, right? Everything would be better if you just listen to us, right? It's quite ridiculous and very arrogant. And that's why men are like, you know what? Get away from me. And understand 63% of young men between the age of 18 and 30 right now are not dating anyone. They don't care. They don't want to. It's too much trouble. You're too much of a pain. Interesting. So enough of the self-righteousness, but what I'm saying about polarity is like, watch in your own relationship, right? Because that's always what takes it home. The relationship that go long term, that function, that flow, right? What's this? Temperamentally, completely different. Values line up, but temperaments and interest, right? And hobbies are completely opposite. One's always extroverted
Mhm,
more, the other one's introverted more. One,
mhm.
one is like a very happy kind of, go with the flow kind of person. The other one has to plan everything. You know what I mean? One's on time, the other's always late. Do you know what I mean? Like, see what I'm saying?
So,
Like, one likes to spend money, they want to save money. One understands, taking risks in life. That's how we actually get ahead. The other one's like, oh, what if? Right? It's a scaredy cat, right? So
yeah.
understanding that all relationships that work, if you look at the the yin yang, it's essential and it's always there. But again, like I said, it makes it difficult sometimes. It makes it more difficult because we frustrate each other because we're so different. My
Mhm.
favorite, get this, see which one you are, and whoever's listening, right? In every love dynamic, right? There's one who's afraid to get dumped
Uh-huh.
somehow. They're afraid to get dumped, right? That's typically the feminine.
Mhm.
And the other one, typically the masculine, is afraid to lose themselves in the relationship.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? So there's
Yeah.
tension all the time, yin yang. So one doesn't exist without the other. Like day and night, one doesn't exist without the other. But again, we don't understand this. I had a guy came to me this months ago, and he's like, in the middle of a divorce, it's amicable. And I go, well, why you guys didn't divorce? If it's amicable, you guys seem to be somewhat, there's not a whole lot of anger. He goes, well, we just realized, this cracked me up. We realized we're complete polar opposites. I'm like, that's the point. That is the point. So what happened is people are complete polar opposite. They attract the opposite, right? It starts getting difficult because we want them to act differently. So instead of embracing the polarity, embracing the differences, they start fighting them, trying to make the other one act different. And this is when everything goes to hell. And that's what happened to them, right? Like they made each other wrong for their differences as opposed to embracing them. And I could tell you a bunch of examples of what works and what doesn't work. But
Well,
let's
but
just
that
say,
goes back to the beginning of time, creation, when God created man
ta-da.
and woman, it's like he didn't, everybody's so confused on that. It's so frustrating, and women buy into this, we're less than just nonsense. Whereas we were created as a helpmeet, as someone as a strength to where he is weak, as a companion, which correspond. So it's exactly what you're just saying, in that creation, creates that interdependence. If
It's
we're both strong
complement,
at the same thing, we're both going to be weak at the same thing.
right?
You can't accomplish
It's
anything.
it's
And the other,
complementary,
yes, it's
complementary.
complementary. And the other thing that I think is really interesting in our creation is that we, as women, like you were saying, we want to be loved. Like we love that. But men, as we've talked about at length, want to be respected.
First,
And so
yes,
there's a
first,
there for of course we want, and we want respect second, right? But we
yep,
want love, right? If he loves us, we'll tolerate a lot, If we
yep,
respect you, you'll tolerate a lot, right?
right.
So it's that number one thing. And so I think that that's so different because that is what provides for the different roles. And what two podcasts ago we really talked about this, the different roles and how that it really shows up, and yet women are complaining, oh, I wanted to be, they want to be like a woman, which is
Yeah, which doesn't
insane.
work. It's
It just
insane. It's
it
ridiculous.
doesn't, right. There'll be no contrast. There'll be nothing for them to fit into, for them to join into, for them to complement, for
But
them.
even to bring something else to the relationship or to
Exactly.
the life, right? I had a client in New York City, she's feisty and she likes to ski and she likes to play tennis. This is part of my TED Talk. And she likes to cycle and she's one of those, right? Super active. Right? And so she wants in her mind, she wants a guy who has the same kind of interest because we have to be compatible, otherwise it's not going to work. You know what I mean? And I try to explain to her, like, honey, that's not how it works, right? And I was trying to even kind of get into that. And she's like, whatever. So we lost contact, right? But I was working with her. And she calls me up and she's like, I found my man. She was all excited, right? And turned out that she found a guy who's European. She lives in New York City, right? So the guy's European, of course. He skis, of course. The European guy all ski.
Everybody's ski,
He plays tennis, of course,
of
right? And
course.
he likes to cycle, whatever. So she literally is like, I found my man. We have the same interests. This is compatibility at its best. Here
Mhm,
goes. And what happened is because of she really thought that was essential, even though I tried to tell her that's not how it works. That
mhm.
is not how it works, right? She's like, went ahead, they moved way too fast, right? They moved in together the whole bit, like way, way too fast, because she thought like she's like 38 years old and she's like, time to get whatever. So
Busy.
rush to it. And a few months later, she calls me, right? And she's like, we have a problem. I go, what's the problem? She goes, our intimacy's down the toilet. She goes, we haven't been together long enough. She goes, like, we're like just completely down the toilet. It doesn't make any sense. Right. And I go, well, you remember I tried to tell you months ago, you guys have the same interests. What do you bring to each other's lives?
Right.
What do you bring to each other? What do you talk about?
We're
Do you know what I
teaching
mean? You
each
guys
other.
are buddies. You guys are pals. You neutralize each other. Neutralize each other. It's supposed to be yin yang. It's supposed to be polar. You neutralize each other. And as soon as you do this, the first thing that goes is the sensual sexual energy. Now you're
Mhm.
roommates. And she's like, yeah, like we just have this, like, I'm not interested in him. I'm like, you neutralize it. I try to tell you this. Right now, by then they're moved in together, devastated because they both realize that there's nothing here. Lack of polarity, 50-50 idea does not work. I've never seen it work. So that concept is we find somebody exact opposite of us in every way. That's the point. And then we bring different dimensions to life. And that's how we grow and actually bring something different to your lives. Their
Mhm.
interests, their not their values, that's the line. Values have to be in line, but their interests, their temperament, they understand. One's on time, was always late. That's temperamental. You know what I mean? One likes to save money, the other one spends money. Like that's the and then that's all the negotiation, all the polarity, all the pulling. How do you come together as two different
Mhm.
entities? That's the magic. That's
Yeah.
the marriage. That's what. Oh, yeah, I think it's all day
But
long.
I think that goes to our topic today about this digital dating.
Oh,
Are people choosing people, or are they shopping for people? So they have this shop list,
yep,
blue shirt, button down, whatever, this list, right?
yep,
Instead of, looking at, women in particular portraying maintaining their dignity, femininity, and faith in a culture that is constantly, women are just constantly being told to compete, and
yeah.
how don't be someone to get love because, but they're just really confused, and they're allowing technology to make them not more connected, but simply more available. Is that
Right.
really the goal? Is that really?
Well, right. I know. I think the idea of more connected mean more choices, more options, more apps, more men, more availability, more more showcasing. Do you know what I mean? And what's happening is becomes of just an attention grabber. Who's the prettiest, who's got the best, who's got the best filters, the best makeup, the best kind of thing, right? And then just put up everything that you think value make you valuable. Men actually write very differently than women when they get their profile. Men will tell them all they've accomplished. And women are like, where's the heart? What's the heart? Right? Well, he's it's a man, right? And the women are like I'm loving and kind, and I love traveling, and my friend called me like lovely, and I love cats, and I love the beach. I'm like, all the same, right? And men like, what? Who? Anyway, so my point is shopping online is literally like window shopping without any connectivity to energy. Do you know what I mean? And that's why men come at me, right? Because everybody does online dating to start. Everybody checks it out. Men anyway. I work with a lot of men, and they check it out because there's thousands of options. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like so, and they go for pretty, and they do this all day long. Anyway, and they'll come at me with found somebody, made a date, had a conversation, made a date, right? And they come back with, dude, what the is wrong with these ladies? I go, what's the problem? 30 pounds overweight, 20 years older than her picture, right? Like, and like, it's like, you didn't think I was gonna notice, right? They completely like the cover was not what the book was, that was sold. And the guys will do this 2 or 3 times, and they go, forget this crap, and get off. So they're online for 3 months. They try it, and they get off, and they do what men do, by the way, ladies. Men, real men, boys, and players and cheaters are online trying to loop you in, right? But
Right,
real men, they do it. They try. They go, forget this crap, and what they do, what real men do. You know what they do? They shop live.
right.
They're looking around the grocery store, they're looking around the coffee house, they're looking around the car wash, right? Very popular here in Los Angeles. Everybody's at the car wash all the time because we don't have rain, we have dust. So your car's always dusty. So once a week you're at the car wash, and like those outside car wash, or you drop your car and you sit outside in the waiting room waiting for your car. It takes 45 minutes. 35 people standing around, looking around. Like, would
Right.
a bet men will look at, like that's a place to meet people, but that's how men do it. Actual men always paying attention, looking. And the thing is, in live content or concept, right, you get to pick energy. You can feel somebody across the room, right?
Sure.
If she
Sure.
smiles, she's lovely, she's available, she's open, right? As opposed to on her phone, or that feeling of don't look at me and I'm not interested. Anyway, so my
Right.
point is that's what men do. Online crap is confusing, and it's like I said, there's no real feel connection for the person.
Well,
Some
and I think
people,
part of that is because they're getting lost in the process. They're going more for matches and likes, and that instant dopamine hits that we've talked about how important
yep,
that dopamine, and just, instead of making it about their identity, then it becomes a popular, it's like 12, being in high school again,
Totally, totally,
a
totally,
popularity contest.
totally. Yeah,
And that, yes, the world does offer us infinite choices, but anyone that has a lick of sense knows that God calls us to discernment. He gave us the common sense for a reason, right? And so, endless options really just create the illusion that someone better is always one swipe away, right?
yeah,
So you're
no,
like,
yep,
I know you've heard this joke, and I'm not going to do it. It's a long joke, but it's something like, the lady goes into the store and she wants to shop, and the guy's like, "Yeah, but on the second floor." She's like, "Okay, I gotta go to the second floor." And so it goes to this whole process, and then it gets to the 12th floor or whatever, and they're like, "Yeah, you get to go down to the first floor because nothing's going to satisfy you, right?"
yep.
You
Like you're
you keep
always looking for
swiping.
better, always looking for better, better. There's always a better choice. That's sort of the feminine go-to, right? He's good, but maybe
Mhm,
there's somebody better. And when you
mhm,
have thousands of options, you get a lot of attention from
mhm,
social media. You actually think you're like the top dog, right?
mhm. Right.
That and women are kind of disillusioned, and they think they deserve the best guy, the high value man, right? And I'm like, well, how did you get there? Because they're getting attention. They think that makes it market value, not understanding that, having Sims send you money, tell you you're gorgeous, just because that's what they do, does not make
Mhm,
you high value and doesn't mean you deserve a millionaire, because those guys have a whole different sets of values,
mhm.
right? And when they're looking at women, it's not, the boobs out and the butt out and the social media crap that's getting attention, like thirst trapping. Men who are high value don't fall for that crap. Everybody else does because you look cheap,
Mhm.
and in a lot of ways they think you're going to make it easy for them.
And
I
don't you
mean,
think this becomes addictive though? And I think that's why women go further. First they're kind of demure, then they have a little red lipstick,
yep,
then they, have more cat eyes, and then they have a lower revealing because it becomes so addictive. It's just
well,
so,
yeah,
and women, even men, but are marketing themselves. I mean, I think
yep,
there's, Instagram hoes, with, how many times do we need to see your backside? But it's the same for the men. How many times do I need to see you pumping, in the gym,
yep,
pumping
yep.
weights? I mean, come on. I mean, like,
No,
really?
it's
I mean, they're marketing instead of revealing themselves. And
uh,
instead of looking for that covenant relationship, that sacred marriage that we've talked about, people are really becoming consumers, shopping for other people. And
yep,
then they wonder why they can't get that intimate relationship, why they can't find that one person. Well, you've just spread yourself out all over the place. I mean, and I know I would love for you to talk about what on these digital platforms, what are men getting trapped in? What is it that's trapping them? I mean, because yes, I get that they go shopping live then, but they still are addicted. These are
like I
billion
said,
dollar apps. These are
in my
not.
yeah, in my world, real men, like I said, they'll try it and nobody do it. Even on apps that claim to have like higher standard women, higher standard
Mhm.
men, same, all the same crap. All they complain of
Okay.
all the same crap. You know what I mean? Everybody's trying to pretend. And what's happening is, I think, we know this, a woman's drug of choice is attention, right? Like teenage girls. And a lot of these women act like teenage girls, trying to compete with the other girls, trying to be younger looking, pretty looking, false eyelashes, boobs out, right? Fake hair, fake eyes. Like, come on, right? And so, first, and the other thing I want to say, so men go for dopamine, excitement, women go for attention. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? But dopamine comes from, being with a woman. It comes from the presence of a woman. It comes with excitement of getting to know somebody for men, right? And we get a lot of dopamine from sexuality, which is another layer completely. But attention is the primary for the ladies, right? As long as they get attention, they feel valuable, they feel important. But get this, and you know this, attention, ladies, does not get you affection,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
You display yourself in ways to get as much attention as possible, thinking you're opening the channels for somebody to go, my God, she's gorgeous. Let me have her. That's what you're hoping. And that's what you think some rich millionaire guy is going to go, wow, right? She's the prettiest girl in the world. That's not how it works. That's not
Mhm.
how it works. Attention does not give you affection. And the more you try and the more you reveal and the more you act like a teenage girl, right? And go way too far, not understanding the male's nature at all. Men who want high value men want high value women. They don't want cheap. They don't want
Mhm.
too overly relieved, right? Like reveal. I had a client, very lovely girl, and she's quite what's the word? Uh she's a very beautiful young 30-year-old entrepreneur woman. You know what I mean? And she does red carpet stuff, and she's a hostess of stuff, right? Like
Mhm.
beautiful girl, right? And I went, she's looking for a relationship, of course. And I went on his Instagram, right? She's got red carpet stuff and like the gowns and stuff. And I'm like, oh, 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 oh. And I called her because I know her. I did a podcast with her, a few actually. And I said, you know, you want to meet a high value man, your Instagram does not make you look high value.
Mhm.
You look cheap on half of these
Mhm.
pictures, right? And a
Mhm.
high value man will just, it'll be instant red flag. Oh, what do
Mhm.
you mean? I go, this one? She goes, that's inappropriate. I go, that's very inappropriate. You have a slit up to your hip,
Mhm.
inappropriate, right? This one, you're actually in your little stretchy pants, you know, facing the mirror with your butt, inappropriate.
What is that?
But everybody does it, so that's why they do it, right? They think that's so. And I'm like, I says, delete this. And she goes, well, that's not. She just started dating this guy who's actually high value, right? Is 38 years old. He's never been married, no kids, right? He's looking for his wife. She
Mhm.
comes in at 30, perfect. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I says, if he sees this, right, you may compromise how he sees you. She goes, oh, he
Mhm.
doesn't have Instagram. It's no big deal. I go, his family does, his brother, his buddies, they will find you as soon as your name comes up, and they're going to show
A
him. That's
jealous girlfriend will.
right. That I says, you know, that's even worse for him, for somebody to put that in his face as opposed to
Mhm.
him finding himself, right?
Sure.
She goes, anyway, so it was interesting because she had no idea that she was being inappropriate because everybody else does it. And like I said, the signal you're sending to the high value men that you want is not what high value men are looking for. They're not looking for cheap, revealed, right? You know,
Right.
attention seeking women who no, not one man can actually satisfy that kind of attention that they crave. And that's
Right.
the problem, ladies.
Well, it seems like, instead of being chosen, they are trying to convince men to choose them in very cheap fashions or very cheap shots. But
Yep.
there's a phrase, I haven't heard it in a long time, 80s, 90s too, but not since like 2020, 2010. Something about, women used to complain, oh, men just like to hunt. Once they have you, once the kill is done, they move on. Like, and I think that's what we're really, have you not heard this phrase?
No, I hear women say stuff like, you know, he used to be romantic. He used to buy me flowers. He used to take me out to dinner, right? And now that he's got me 6, 7, 8 months into it, he stopped doing that because now he's got me, so he doesn't have to put any effort.
No, this is even sooner than
That's
that. It's like the man loves the chase, the hunt more than he likes the kill or something like
well,
that.
factual. We like, you know, basically our job is to show you that we're a good man, that you can count on us, that we actually
Hmm.
are, you know, are valuable, that we respect you, that we want to impress you, that, you know, make plans and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But again, same thing, right? Like in the first 3 months of the relationship, when all the chemistries are flying all over the place and we're so happy and everybody's easygoing and all that stuff, right? But eventually, even, you know, I always say you shouldn't have sex too early because it gives you a feeling of compatibility that is fake because chemistry
Hmm.
will make you feel like you're compatible, but you don't know each other,
Yep.
right? It takes like a year to get to know somebody. No, I'm not saying wait a year to play, but there's like a window. I'm not gonna go here now because it's complex a little
Sure.
bit, but it's not. But it's called against its basic nature. But the idea is when chemistry is high, when we start having sex, especially, you know what I mean? Like it bonds us to each other, obviously, and we end up like making love all night long and you know you like see each other 3 times a week if you're local, like 3 4 times a week. No, you don't sleep, you just spend all night talking and having fun, right? So and you go to work with bags under your eyes and you know if my point is that kind of connection in the beginning, that kind of over the top kind of having to be with each other dies in 3 months, and then we have to go back to life. I have to go to bed because I have to go to work, right? Like
Hmm.
all of that kind of fades really quickly. And women say, no, he used to be romantic. He used to spend all his time with me. He used to be over like 3 times a week. Now he's just life, ladies, life,
Right.
right? If
Right.
if his primary mission is to sustain his
Mhm.
life and then obviously,
Economic.
hopefully, one day provide for you, but that means work is first. And
Yeah.
most women don't like that. They want her to be first. But if
Right.
you're first, He's not making any money. His business,
Right.
his career is suffering. He's not a good provider, and you're gonna go, wow, the guy's a loser, right? So, interestingly enough, like you have to understand what you want doesn't necessarily fit with what works, right?
Mhm.
So, and women sometimes, like teenagers, I hate to say, but kind of like get caught up in the this is the way I used to be, and that's the way I want to. It's not sustainable, right? The
Mhm.
cycles and all this. Anyway, I could do this all day long.
But
I'm
it
not
is like
scared.
it's like they're having to convince, I love that phrase. Chemistry is not compatibility, what a great phrase. And it is distracting and then we
Absolutely.
do get confused. And then and really are we using that as a tool to convince I'm the one, I'm the one, I'm the one, right? Versus getting to know and because I mean nobody likes rejection. Nobody says, go ahead. I mean, but really, rejection is a way of, God protecting us. It's like, yeah, no, 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 don't do it. And sometimes when the door is being slammed in our face or it's a no, then it's just because it's a no, and there's something better, and just not really casting ourselves out there. We complain, women generally, obviously as a group, complain, oh, they just objectify us. Well, stop showing your backside.
Hello.
Stop having that be your profile picture. What's your profile picture? What are you really
Right.
presenting, to
Projecting.
the world? And really, your profile on these dating apps as a woman should repel the wrong men. Like if you only get one hit a month, but it's from a genuine,
Right.
if it's attracting everyone, then it stands for nothing. That just means you don't know who you are, you don't know what you stand for, and you don't know who to be. You're just trying to, once again, you'll figure out how to convince them, right, to like you. Instead, what are your priorities? What
Yeah.
are you looking for? Women are like, well, I'm afraid to say I'm looking for marriage. Why? If that's your goal, if you don't state that, then I think that men are just so single focused and so direct. They're like, oh, great, she just wants to play because she's not
Right.
mentioning marriage. If you
Right.
don't mention my goal is to get married and to have 2.5 children and a dog and blah blah blah. If you're not putting it out there, then of course you're going to attract all the wrong kinds of people. Of course you are.
Or
So it's
too
like,
many.
a
Yeah.
no is really a gift. All those no's or all those not being liked,
Mm.
are just people that aren't interested in what you're interested
Right.
in.
Now, if you present yourself right, exactly that's exactly true. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like so again, but I think what's happening is we kind of open the doors to everybody to again have choices, right? There's always so if you narrow it down, then you may not get the it's just a funny thing, right? But what this is what men say, by the way. We talk about like, he just gets me and or he likes to chase and then he drops. You know what that another layer in that is that again the chemistry of the first 3 months is like all over
Mhm.
the place, and we like again no nothing bothers anybody. We're easygoing, whatever, right? But now this the feminine is guilty of that, whether it's a man or a woman, quite a bit. But this is kind of a girl thing, right? That when you realize, this guy is a prize, or like this could be it, this could be the one, this could go long term, right? You start projecting what you on you start becoming what you think he wants you to be.
Mhm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You're noticing that he likes blondes, and so all of a sudden your hair is lighter, and he likes, women who wear skirts, so you wear more skirts, and right? And what men end up saying is the girl that I met, you know, I liked her for who she was. 3 months later, because she's trying to hang on to him, trying to, Allison calls it, turn into a pretzel to make sure that he's in his favors, right? What happens is she becomes inauthentic. The thing that attracted him in the first place, who she is, now she's trying to be more than who she is. And that is kind of a fake front and trying too hard. And the guys will say this, I'm telling you, this is a big part of it. After 3 months, they go, I don't know, the girl that I met is no longer here,
Mhm.
right? She's different. She's not, but so again, women kind of changing themselves, trying to please.
Mhm.
Energetically, you're not being yourselves, and he's already there because he liked who you were. You don't have to
Well,
change
let
and
me add
twist
another
yourself.
level to that because let's just say you can pull this off until menopause. Come menopause, the woman is like, I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of not being who I want to be. I'm tired of not having my life. I mean, all these complaints. You're the one who's been pretending.
Yep,
You're the one who hasn't been valuing yourself. You're the one who hasn't been showing up authentically. And
yep.
now they're mad at him but he's like, I've been confused for 20 years, so
I don't know what's happening.
I
Yeah.
don't even know what's happening, you know? He's like, I just went to work, paid the bills, and you had the babies. I
No,
don't know.
it's like it's funny because it happened to my older brother, it happens to my wife's older brother, right? These guys are good old boys,
Yeah.
right? Provide, protect, cherish, pay.
Yeah.
But they go to work, they come back, they come home every night, they don't cheat, they pay, the right. They get to be a little, emotionally what's the word? Like the more masculine the man is, the less, the harder it is to connect emotionally to him. Right. That's the challenge and whatever, right? So these guys just did what men do, but the women who were not happy with them, this is very, very common, by the way, right? Over the course of 25 years, never said, I don't like when you do this. Never could set boundaries, never could ask for correction, right? Because they don't know how to do it or it starts a fight, so they stop doing it, right? So they end up resenting the guy. But if
Mhm.
you don't say anything, he has no idea that you're not happy, not comfortable, that you want,
Right.
right? But so literally, my brother and my wife's older brother, after
Mhm.
25 years, the moment the last one was in college, right? A week later, the house is empty. She's like, I hate you. You never loved me. You're a piece of crap, and I never want to see you again. And the guys are like completely blindsided. Like, what the hell happened? Like, I did everything right for 25 years, and now I'm a dog. And now I'm like, I never loved
Yeah.
her. Like,
Yeah.
look at all I did for us, you know what I mean? Like, right? So women who don't even know how to ask for correction and even negotiate in the relationship will often resent the guy that who's not the way she wants him to be, but she never had the courage, I want to say, to like bring it up and
No, it's
discuss
just
it. And
not fair. I mean, I
it's not fair,
apologize,
but
but
it's so
it's not
it is
fair
so
at
freaking
all
common.
because you're not given the opportunity for any growth. Then they wonder why there's no growth and development. Well, you didn't give them an opportunity.
Do you know
You
what I
weren't
mean?
honest with yourself. You weren't honest with him, and you've just been judging him harboring resentment for 10, 15, 20 years.
Crazy.
And poof, and then you have a breakdown because you got emptiness, you got menopause, you just don't have the juice, to be frank, anymore to do it, to pretend. But whose fault is that? Whereas if you had told him, 20, 25 years ago, you don't like oatmeal, he'd be like, okay, you
Right.
will never get oatmeal again. I mean,
I mean, it's not that, but I mean, again, the lot in my world, what happens is we don't know how to bring women, especially don't know how to bring
right.
something up that's
Mhm.
uncomfortable. They start a fight. He always gets mad at me. I go, well, because you don't know how to approach him respectfully. That's part of
Mhm.
the work that I teach, right? The language of respect that you could actually ask a man for correction, revision, adjustment. But this is what typically happens. Women get angry, right? And they right, but they don't say anything because they don't want to start a fight. But then these things pile up, right? I call it the pancake plate, right? You put every offense gets on the plate, right? And now we have a pancake stack. You know what I mean? He has no idea because he's not saying anything. These are all like small offenses typically, right?
Mhm.
Right? But they stack up and you don't bring it up, so he can't correct it, figure it out, or even kind of tell you this is not what I said, this is what I meant. You know what I mean? So he can't even make you feel better about it. He doesn't know. You just
Right.
kind of stack up the resentment. And one day he leaves his cup on the counter after you clean the kitchen, and you throw the whole freaking plate at his head. And now he doesn't respect you, he doesn't love you. He now always and he never is, and he looks at you like you're insane. Right? That's not fair. That's
No.
not fair. So again, not understanding how to approach men, but if because every time you're trying to ask for something or correction, he gets mad because you typically wait too long. This is my world, right? You wait too long, right? Now you can't take another one, right? This is the
Mhm.
small pile, and then you go, all right, that's it. I'm sick of you. I need you to stop. And then you attack him because you're frustrated. And the moment you attack a warrior energy person, poof, pushes
Right.
back. You lose, even if you're right, right? But you can't approach him that way. He's going to defend himself from you as opposed to defending you,
Mhm.
right? That's what doesn't work, but that's what most people do. They wait too long. Women just wait too long. They get angry. They attack him. And he goes, get the hell, right? And again, it's not fair to either one because it doesn't work.
Right.
I could
It's
do
so
so.
tough. Oh my God, it's
But
so
it's
tough.
not that tough when you understand. Like I call it Manglish. I teach ladies how to
It
speak
is
Manglish.
English.
How do you ask for correction? How do you connect with him emotionally? How do you bring him out of his head into his heart? And this for the
Mm.
sake of you and be more comfortable and be happy, asking for adjustment, asking for, babe, I love this. You work a lot. I love that you work a lot. I appreciate everything you do for us. However, I feel disconnected. It makes you sad. I miss you. Maybe you could find some place to, make more time for us, right? Like that's a different way of, you work too much,
Mhm.
are sick of it, and the kids miss you, and you need to figure it out because that's what doesn't work. Just saying.
Well, and we just, and then we see all this behavior just so, I don't know, it's like so immaturely on the social media, right?
It's
On
aggressive
the,
too. It's aggressive and
yeah,
attacking and shame,
yeah,
trying to shame men straight.
yes,
That doesn't work. You,
yes.
you can nag, you can shame, you can complain, you can bitch, you can moan, you can you can cry, you can yell. Those are
Yep,
all things that men don't respond to. All things that will just shut him down and he's going to push back on you. Like so, women do what doesn't work over and over again. I always say like, why do you keep doing what doesn't work?
right,
That doesn't work. Doesn't make you happy. Doesn't makes you miserable. It makes you actually miserable because you
right.
don't want to be the nag, the complainer,
Right.
right? But you're trying to make him Manglish. Manglish.
Well, and isn't that's one of the things also that, when you are teaching in my classes, we have that opportunity to learn how to ask for that time.
Yeah.
Hey, I have something I need to talk about. I know you're busy and overwhelmed. When's a good time? But
Yeah.
we want to jump in. We want to be demonstrative. We want,
Ah,
right now, right?
right.
And
Right.
he's like, trying to whatever he's trying to do, and we think that that moment is more important. And that I have to share has just been a very valuable tool. Like, hey babe, I have a list of, I have some things to discuss. There's a variety of topics. What is a good time for you?
That's it.
Um,
Set him
and
up.
I always try to say, um, I do make a little joke. I'm like, it should only take 15 minutes unless you have a lot of
Beautiful.
questions.
Set him
But
up.
I always say unless you have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So
No, it's a way to set him up for you to win.
yes,
Yeah, yeah. Because if you decide you need to talk now and he's focused on something else and he's about to do whatever, right? Whatever, because men always have a plan, which we don't
yes,
share with you, so you think there's no plan often.
yes.
So you jump on his plan, he goes, and you know what I mean? I need to talk about you. You never you force, you push, you lean in, you complain, it doesn't work, ladies. It
Instead of
doesn't
just
freaking
asking for
work.
time.
Right. And you make him miserable and you make you miserable because, not getting to respond to even the time that you want, the thing that you're requesting that you want to,
But
right?
I kind of find that I
Set
can say,
yourself up for
I
winning.
can even say, I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I'm really working on how to say this.
Yeah. You're not in
And I
trouble. You're
right,
not in
right. You're not. It's
trouble.
not that he's a right. Exactly.
But
You're
no,
not
but
in
sometimes
trouble.
women will approach us with, we need to talk. That means he's in trouble.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that. Don't say
Yeah.
that. Don't use those
Yeah.
words. If you
Yeah.
tell a woman we need to talk, she thinks you're going to break up with her. When you tell a man we need to talk, he knows he's in trouble. That doesn't work. That's not a
Mhm.
good setup, right?
Mhm.
So I'm just saying I could do this all day long, but it's
No,
very
but it is,
simple.
it
It's
is, but I
simple.
think it's important for women to hear those words, how that
Yeah.
looks and how that shows up, it's like, I'm a little nervous, I'm trying a new way of communicating. And, I just need, and I love the phrase, I'm just really confused. I don't understand this, or I don't
Yep.
understand this behavior, or I didn't understand this decision, or I didn't understand why you said this. Would you
Yep.
mind? And I find most of the time he's like, at first, it would hurt my feelings. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, he just doesn't remember, right?
Right.
Like to
That too.
me, it imprinted on me, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, and I'm like, okay, well, remember the other night we were out with Bob and Sue and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, okay. And he goes, yeah, no, I didn't even mean anything by that. I'm like, okay, but I can believe that I can reprogram that story and I can go, oh gosh, I just made something up,
Right.
and then
Right.
I get that validation. Or, he goes, he'll be like, oh, I was too flippant. You're right. I wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
I
I
apologize.
when
And
you
that's the other thing women have to do. Give
yeah.
grace.
Well,
Grace,
if you bring it
grace.
up respectfully, right?
Mhm.
And again, you can't wait a week for a little event that was like, you have to do
Right,
it like the next day at the latest
right.
because you won't remember and you'll think, what a jerk, right? You remember because it was an injury, right? So your feelings with a situation go
Mhm,
imprint. For us,
mhm.
we don't do that. There's no injury. I didn't know there was an injury, right? So don't wait too long.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the only fair thing to do, so you don't stack up the pancake plate, is to bring it up
Mhm,
respectfully. You know what I
mhm,
mean? And say exactly what you said. Like when this happened, made me feel like this. I didn't like it. It hurt my feelings. Is that what you meant? What? when this happened yesterday, when you said this, that's what happened to me. It hurt my
Mhm.
feelings. I didn't like it. I don't know if that's what you meant, but that's how I received that, right? And then there's a magic line. You ready? Help me understand,
Right.
right? And then again, that's a fair way. He's not being defensive. You're actually pointing the finger at you, not at him. And,
Mhm.
and then he has an opportunity. I do it all the time. I am constantly doing this with my wife because she knows that, right? And then I have an opportunity to explain what I was thinking. Oh, that's not what I was saying. That's not what I meant,
Right.
right? Because sometimes ladies take things sideways. No, so I get to explain, or you know what, you're right. I completely forgot. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You're right. That was crass. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. Apology or an explanation, and then you could actually move on. But if you don't, the pancake will keep stacking. And like I
Mhm.
said, the simple, stupidest thing, 2 months later, you will attack him and you'll lose and you'll think he's a jerk. Not
Well, and
fair.
I think this
Not
really
fair.
goes to the back to the dating apps and the social media. Everything's a red flag now. Oh, he
Right.
looked cross-eyed. No, he had something in his eye. Ask him about it, or you know what I mean? Like it's just like he still talks to his mother. He's a mama's boy. Well, don't you want a man still talking
Yeah,
about and confused,
I
I'm
know, right?
confused,
Help me
living with
understand.
your mother,
It's different.
at
That's
the age of
different.
45, right. I
It's
mean,
different.
and so we need to really reserve these red flags for real concerns, but
Real red
isn't
flag.
that interesting, Andre? Think about it. We'll get so picky about, oh, he looked at me cross-eyed, or, he might, like, I love this one, I love you, and he didn't say it back. He didn't hear you. The wind was blowing, the dog was barking, something like that, right? And that's the big red flag. Whereas they'll overlook,
Whew.
dishonesty, oh, he only got drunk 3 times. You're like, come on, they'll overlook, abuse
Yeah,
and
well, it's not
or
sexy, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
But they want
And,
to
and
look at.
and get all excited about these fake red flags, right? And then they start cutting off opportunities due to these, human error. It's just
Right.
human. It's not a character flaw. It's just human errors
And
that
it's
could.
also, being a man, being completely opposite of her. Like, when I understood at one point when I started this work that, I never want to hurt my wife's feelings. Why would I want to hurt my wife's feelings?
Of
I
course.
wanted to be good and happy because when she's good and happy, I'm good and happy. You know what I mean? When she's at peace, because life is great, it brings me peace, right? So the idea, a concept of women think that we hurt your feelings and we know what we're doing. That is
Mhm.
insane.
Yeah.
Not one normal guy do this. So the boys will do this, the toxic ones, but that's not men. That's
Correct.
not men, right?
Correct. We're
So
not talking about
but when
them.
I understood seriously, because I never my intention to hurt her feelings, never my intention to make her mad at me. Like, why would I do this, right? But you take everything personally. That's part of being female. I get it, right? But when I realized that I constantly hurt her feelings, and I have no idea because I'm just a dude, right? And but she didn't have the courage to bring that up to me like that, and she does it to me. Like I sometimes I curse, right? I'm
Mhm.
watching TV and I curse, blah, 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 and I'll call some whatever, right? And
Right.
she's like, I don't really like that word.
Andre.
I don't really like that word. I'm like, oh, sorry. My favorite is I'm in the car and I was really stressed out. This is a few weeks back. I was stressed out about something, and I bark at everybody when I drive. I'm that
Yeah.
guy, right? Already, naturally. But apparently that day I was extra barky. Do you know what I mean? And we're going somewhere, and she's lovely. She's sitting there, right? And I'm yeah. And so she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Like you're like really kind of like over the top here, right?" Gently, she said it, right? I mean, what
Yeah,
do you mean?
yeah,
She
yeah.
goes, you're barking more than usual. And I'm going to tell you, I want to be with you, but you make it very difficult for me to enjoy this.
Mhm.
Oh, like I'm polluting her world,
Mhm.
right? But she didn't say, like, you need to stop yelling. You're pissing me off. But she didn't say, stop yelling. You're being an ass. Like, she's like, it's not really fun to be in this car right now, And so, are you okay? And I'm like, and I remember going, oh, check. You know what I mean? I don't want her to be uncomfortable and unhappy because guess what happened? Right? It's gonna come back on me, right?
Yep.
And then so I'm like, whoop. And then like seriously, minutes later, you freaking and I go, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. nothing, right? Like I caught myself, but she knows how to approach me in a way that
Right,
she's not pushing on me and
right.
making me wrong. She's like not happy. It's not comfortable.
Well, but isn't that funny, that on these dating apps, they'll just cut you off, they'll just block you. And really that in doing that, I just got to my brain, is that they are blowing an opportunity to discover if this man, this other
Mm,
person is actually healthy. Can they manage conflict? Can they manage an adult conversation?
right.
Can they do they wear their feelings on their shirt sleeve, or are they able to manage a conversation that's like, gosh, okay, thanks for letting me know, or I do disagree with your assessment of me or something. Can we talk about it?
Yeah,
What a blown opportunity. Just
totally,
that they're blowing it
totally.
because they're just, oh, they're check off, and I'm like,
Yeah.
hmm, you
No,
know.
I'm not, I don't like this, so we just is the wrong person. She's the wrong
Mhm.
girl. Do you know what I mean? It's funny because this in relationship, we discover who we are really in the relationship, right? If I keep bringing the worst out of a woman, that's probably something that I want to pay attention to. You know what I mean? And vice versa, right? As opposed to, well, she's crazy, she takes advantage, but it's always the same. Do you know what I mean? So relationship become a mirror. If somebody's lovely in the beginning and then they get frustrated, or they get feisty, they get defensive, right? Like, what are they receiving from you? Do you know what I mean? And back and forth. So relationships are a mirror into how we show up, and it show you your shortcomings and your gifts, and you know what I mean, the stuff that works and doesn't work. But we live in a culture where if it's not perfect, beautiful, and easy, it's the wrong person, which is exact
Mhm.
opposite of what works. It's in the conflict resolution that we get closer and more bonded. So
Mhm.
there's this ridiculous idea out there that if it's not easy and fun, it's the wrong person. It's a
Mhm.
backward. It's exactly backwards.
But the opposite then occurs. I mean, this is a whole conversation. It's fascinating because it's just full of opposite. So they cut you off because you rolled you had something in your eye, and they're saying that you looked at them weird, but yet they'll post every fight. Like everything is so public. Like
Yeah,
there's no protection of the relationship.
I
There's
know.
no they're more into the recording of these ticky marks. Let's call them good,
Yep,
bad, good, bad.
yep,
You
yep,
know,
yep, yep.
but you won't have a mature conversation of, hey babe, did you have something in your eye? Because you gave me that weird look. And it's really, I mean, come on. I mean, and I'm using a silly example, but
Yeah,
that's how
yeah,
silly it is, right?
absolutely.
And
Teenagers,
instead of
teenagers.
protecting the relationship or protecting the possibility of a relationship, why is the internet knowing more about your feelings about your first date than your first date does, right?
Right. But again, people seek validation by complaining, and when you
Right.
play victim, you get a lot of validation. Oh, girl, he's the wrong guy. Oh, dump him. Oh, you deserve better. You deserve a king.
Mhm.
Google queen. Da 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 da. It's ridiculous, right? It's like teenage stuff. And you know what? People don't like teenagers because they're freaking teenagers,
Because
and
they're teenagers. I mean,
they're
oh my
teenagers, but
God.
they're completely unreasonable, right? Over the
Yes.
top, all self-centered,
Arrogant, idealistic,
arrogant,
think they know it
shitty,
all.
know it all, right? And
Oh,
so again, if you're gonna keep living, so this is this is what we see. This is what I see all day long. Like everybody's acting like teenagers, wondering why everybody's irritated with them and nothing's working. Well, maybe you should
right,
just,
right,
you know what I mean, and
right.
maybe start listening more than
Right.
complaining. I'm just
I
saying.
agree.
I'm just
I
saying.
agree.
That's what
I've
smart people
learned
do, by the way.
more about my husband since practicing listening
Yep.
and counting. I don't have to count it. Well, as a matter of fact, I did
Yep.
had to count the other day. But anyways, normally I don't
I
have to count
understand.
anymore. And I'm just like, hey, babe, question. And
Yep.
wait and listen, actively listen. And the more I listen, the more I become my husband's queen, the
Yep.
more I become his consultant,
It's
the more
just
I become his go-to. And it's like all I had to do was wear some duct tape. I
yeah.
mean, it's just not that
Well,
difficult.
because to a man, not to be interrupted, it's respectful. And I'm
Mhm.
going to say this, ladies, I'm sorry to say it, but we constantly cut us off, constantly
Mhm.
interrupt us because you want to be part of the conversation most of the time. Do you know what I mean? So for you to just sit there and listen, that's not enough. Oh, me too. Oh, I love that too. Right. And you like, he's like, can you shut up? Of course, like, oh, that's so true. I know it's true. That's what I'm talking about it. Like, but the interruption to us is like a slap in the face. So we end up giving you the one word answer because you constantly interrupt us, and it's so disrespectful. Again, the ladies don't understand that because for you, you can interrupt each other. It's not important because it's in the flow that you'd bond.
Right. We're in
For
the
us, when we
flow.
speak, right, it's because I'm trying to tell you something. And so the interruption is disrespectful. So for a woman to ask a question, right, and just go like this, and let me answer, like you're the queen. You're the girl who gets me. You're the girl who lets me finish my thought. Because men will say this, I can never finish to answer a damn question. I can't finish my thought, right? I can't finish providing what I'm trying to provide. She has to interrupt me. So after a while, what do you get? How was the party? Good. Who was there? Everyone. Well, like, who do you know? Did Susie and Jack show up? Yeah. Like you end up, which makes women feel terrible, right? Because woman to woman, you know this, right? If a woman gives you the one word answer, you're in
Oh,
trouble. You're in trouble.
right. Right.
So we do it to you. You think you're in trouble. We don't want to share our lives with you. We don't want to give you details of our lives. We're
Mhm.
disconnected. Maybe he's talking to another girl. He doesn't like me. He's
We
mad.
don't think you like us. Yeah, right.
Right. That's not it. That's not it. We learn to stop talking because we're constantly being interrupted. That's a huge part of what you just said. All right, ladies, stop interrupting and see what you learn from the man. Actually, he'll reveal so much if
Mhm.
you just pay attention, because he's going to have the chance to reveal what he's thinking, what he values, who he is, right? Like that. I had a client, I taught her this before she went on a date with this man, right? Because she likes to chat. I get it. I go, but hold back. Just hold back. You know what I mean? And she came back. This is like true story. And she's like, "Oh my God, the things I learned about him just because I didn't interrupt him." Right? He asked a question, I answer, and he kind of filled in his part of it. And she goes, like, he revealed everything. I'm like, "You're welcome."
Not that
So
difficult.
not
Yep.
that difficult, right? But it's
Yep.
again what's intuitive for a woman
It
because you want to be
is.
part of, because if you're not part of, then what's the point? Right.
Mhm.
So that's the point for you, is the connection. For us, the point is let me finish what I'm trying to say or answer your question. Again, two different beasts, two different
Yeah.
machine. We frustrate each other. I get it, right? But again, understand his way, her way, and how do you meet in the middle? That's the
Mhm.
work. How do you meet in the middle? We're complete
Yep.
opposite, gets on each other's nerves. How do we meet in the middle? Give him a little bit, give her a little bit. So now we're actually partners and team players, right? That's what team players do,
They
right? They
do.
don't they don't
Mhm.
insist, they don't, it's not a dictatorship. And by the way, men are not broken, ladies. Not understanding men does not mean that they're
Right.
broken. This means you don't understand the nature and the reason why we do everything that we do is a really good reason for, again, the masculine normal males, right? So to make them
Well,
wrong, try to make us act like girls, right? That you're always going to lose. And the guys, I had a client yesterday who's telling me this. She wants me to be more talkative, to share my feelings with her, to be more vulnerable, right? And I go, oh, and she's insisting this guys like this exist. And I go, yeah, those guys exist. They don't like women, but they exist. If you
right.
want a man, that's not what men do. That's
Right.
not how men operate. That's not how men talk,
Right.
right? But it's a way, again, Manglish, to get the connection that you want out of the
Yeah.
masculine man, understanding how to pull him out of his head into his heart, where you like us the most.
Yep.
Because we live in our heads.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So we need your femininity to bring us out of our heads. And that's
Mhm.
another huge layer. You could take the Marlboro guy who's stoic, quiet, right? Doesn't speak, gives you one answer. You could actually bring him out of that into his heart space, where he can actually tell you what is going on inside of him, what
Absolutely.
he's feeling, how he feels about you, right?
Mhm.
But they kind of need you to bring us out of it, and
Absolutely.
which is why we need your feminine essence, not your balls. I
Right,
said it.
and that's why not withholding and having respect and appreciation and affection is just gold. It's just gold for men. It's just
No
gold.
idea.
And I
You have
do,
no
I,
idea.
I, I do want to cover one that you were so fair and honest about, how men can end up using dating apps, for, quickies or, just a quick fix or a
That's
quick
yep,
hookup or
yep,
something.
yep.
But I want to add, we have not discussed this, and I think it's unfair,
Okay.
is women are dating for all the sixes, the six figures, the 6 feet, and the six pack,
And the
right?
six
And
plus down there.
and they, oh,
That's the
yes,
new. Yep.
you're right.
Add it for
You're
sure.
right.
Absolutely. They
I'm gonna
compare.
I'm gonna add that in. Like
Yes.
I'm taking
They
it.
actually will talk to each other about, the
Oh,
guy's packet, the guy's
absolutely. Of
package.
course, of course, of
So
course.
that's another plus that they're all looking for. This the fourth, sixth.
Course. So it's like, but yet they want like you said, they want this man that is talks and shares and touches. Well, you didn't, that's not what you went after. You went
Right,
after the four sixes.
right,
And I'm not saying that the four sixes can't have that, but with these men that are four sixes have a lot of walls around them because there's a lot of you little vampires coming after
right.
him, and these little leeches. And they're really forgetting this does not replace integrity. It doesn't replace humility. It doesn't replace generosity or faithfulness, emotional maturity or leadership. And
Mhm.
so, of course, money makes life easier. Nobody says, I want to be poor. I want to grow up and be poor. Nobody says that, right? But character makes marriage absolutely possible. And so I really want to make sure that women know when that's what is your wife flirting with you? She must be. She's
I
flirting
did
with
know.
you.
I
I
did
could
know.
tell. Absolutely could tell. I'm like, I
But
caught you. I'm going to call you out on it. I'm calling you out on it,
so
Andre.
see how simple that is?
But do you see, and that's
A
a great
smile and a
example.
little
When do you
wave.
see he was totally lost? He totally, first of all, he did a dog bark. No, 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 no. This was his wife flirting with him. And if you will notice, I want you to back up on the YouTube and I want you to look at how his face changed, his demeanor changed. He got a little blush in,
A
his
little
cheekbones.
a
Go
focus
on
change.
it.
Like
Oh,
I'm listening to you, but I'm not. You know what I mean?
I was
I lost you for a
non-existent,
second.
Andre, non-existent. Let's just not be
I'm
crazy.
just saying, like this is so pretty simple and basic, really, in
Not
the
that
end.
difficult.
Not that difficult. Understanding the nature of the beast on both
Right.
sides.
Right.
Right.
That was
So
perfect.
I was gonna say though, as far as like the 6 foot, six pack, six figures, and 6 inch plus, right? Like all of
Mhm.
that, there's no character in that. Do
That's
you know what I
what,
mean? And I'm gonna
right.
say
None.
this, I'm gonna say this, there's no character. And those guys have women throw themselves at them. They have all the options. These guys, it's like a kid in the candy store. They play and they don't commit. There's
Mhm.
no reason to commit. There's no reason to like focus on one. They have like the party, like this endless. I mean, I live in Los Angeles. I know. I go to a fancy gym. All my buddies, all my guys, are a version of that. They want to find a good
Absolutely.
girl,
Well,
but
then they're mad at who's that guy, Andrew something, the real paper.
Andrew Tate,
Yes,
yeah,
2, 3 Y, women.
yeah.
He's like, you know what? You all are tolerating it. So don't even be mad at him because if you all weren't tossing yourself at it, then he wouldn't be that way now, would he?
Well, yeah, but so again, women love a man who has resources, but if you actually a lot of women what I say they pick a guy with their eyes, he's got to be tall and a six pack and all that stuff, like everything as a package, right? And these guys have all the options and they're not going to pick just one girl.
Not at all.
That's just they just don't. So, and the women will say the guys are all, they just want to play or they're already taken. The good ones are taken. But if you talk about the good ones that taken, me and my friends, right? The wife was there 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when I had nothing. She's been
Right.
there the whole time, and I'm successful because of her.
Hmm.
Not now that I'm successful, I'm interesting. I was interesting
Hmm.
before successful. She believed in me,
Right.
right? We built this thing together,
Hmm.
right? Like so the good ones that take it, yeah, she was there 25 years ago, right?
Hmm.
So find a guy who's got potential you could trust and believe in, right? And build with him. That's how you get to be the wife and then be there for 30 years plus, right? Not going for the guy that's on top, that has all the options in the world. He's going to play with you, never take you seriously. And then you say, they're all toxic, they don't care, and they just want to have fun. Well, yeah, hello, hello, hello. Where are you shopping? Just saying.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, and I think, really to tie this up as some, great conversations because it's like, the algorithms that work for dating apps and make them money, let's just be really clear about that, makes them a lot of money and makes you poorer.
Hmm?
It's fear, outrage, comparison,
Fear,
competition,
FOMO.
FOMO, conflict, and those emotions are what generate clicks. What builds marriages is love, patience, grace, forgiveness, discernment, and humility. And so one serves the algorithms and the
Yeah,
other serves the kingdom. So it's
voilà.
really, as we're dating, if you're using dating apps, I think this conversation is just rich with gems, rich with just nuggets, just really some really interesting things to look at. How are you selling yourself?
Mm,
Because however you're pitching yourself, that's what you're going to get. And that's all you, babe,
voilà.
all you.
And again, I said again, attention, ladies, will not give you affection.
Mm-mm.
This is right. If attention is your go-to at all costs, right,
Mm-mm.
you are probably looking not very, I want to say it because I see it all the time too. Like there's a kind of this starts looking ridiculous, trying too hard
Mm-mm.
to get, to get all the attention. And guys are very smart. They're like, yeah, okay, insecure, you
Mm-mm.
know, can never get
Oh, and the
not
more
one man.
insecure you look, the more predators that you will attract. It is a
Well,
fact.
I know women don't get that, right? They think the attention will give affection, understanding that the bad guys will come at you because you're
Right,
insecure, and they go, "Oh, it's
right.
just going to be easy to take advantage of,
Mm-hmm.
tell you everything you want to hear
Mm-hmm.
to get you out of your pants, and then they disappear." And you're like, God, another liar. Well,
Yep.
hello.
Well, and I have been, really, well, let's talk about this next time maybe.
Yep.
Really insecurity as related to bed hopping. I think that there's a lot, we're taught as women, oh, be like men, boss babe, all this, wow, nonsense. And the more I'm listening to women in the women's classes, it really just, one night it just brought me to tears. I'm like,
Oh,
these women are completely insecure, devastated, destroyed because they're bed hopping and they think that's what they do to have to get, once again, how we talked about earlier, let's convince them, not enroll them, let's convince
yep.
them. And
Yep.
they're trying to convince them with their most precious, most valuable
Oh my goodness. This
femininity.
completely.
And
And their
and
bodies and their
right.
bodies.
They're just offering themselves up, and then they wonder why they're being discarded, and then they wonder why they have low self-esteem, and so I think that
They
this is
feel
something
they
that
feel
we should
take
really consider
okay.
talking
Right,
about.
because they feel taken advantage of, even what I mean. If you didn't take the time to know who he really was, so he really was, if he wanted what you wanted, right? So that's a big. So what I see a lot is women want relationships, so men want sex. As you give them sex, thinking after 3 or 4
Yep,
dates, give them sex, it starts
yep,
intimacy, starts a relationship.
yep.
I want to say this,
That's
ladies,
not
pay
it.
attention very carefully. This is my work with men. This is not how it works for men. Intimacy does not start a relationship. It usually kills it.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
So we can talk about this next time because it's
Yeah,
profound, and
it
it's a
is.
big mistake that the women don't understand this because they were trained to have fun like men,
Yep. What
be
a
free like
lie.
men, have, what I mean,
Yeah.
and you're
That's going to
liberated.
be a hot one because what a
Yeah.
lie. What a
No,
lie.
it's completely like, because again, men can explain this. It's an instinct. You're that girl or you're that girl.
Hmm.
Period. You're a yes or
Hmm.
you're a no. You're to build with or to play with. Boom.
Hmm.
Done. It's like it
Period. Yep.
right. So who do you want to be? That girl or that girl? You want to be
Yeah.
the girl who's he wants to build with, the girl he wants to play with.
Amen. Right.
But that's a complete blind spot in our culture. We
It
could do
is.
this all day long, darting Dr. Harmony in Georgia, right?
Georgia, yes. I'm in
Georgia,
Georgia and Andre's in California. We're on opposite
Los
sides of the
Angeles.
United States. But you know what? You get all that spectrum and everything in between because we're just that great. So, and when is your thing coming out? TED Talk next week?
So my
Next
TED
week?
Talk should be sometimes this week. Actually, it was released. It was presented to TED yesterday.
Yeah.
So whichever they have to basically look into it. And this
Okay.
I use music that I was
Yes.
composed just for the TED Talk, but they have to make sure that I have the rights to the
Oh,
music,
right,
so
right,
that
right.
that
Of
could stall
course.
it. But
Yes.
TED's coming up, but next Tuesday, as it like within a few days, this is Friday,
Okay.
so next Tuesday in 3 days, 4 days, I have a live event too that would have I want to put below
Oh,
on
absolutely.
Zoom, and it's called Clarity in Love, Decoding the Relationship Dynamics. So
Okay.
it's basically an introduction for people who don't know me,
Hmm.
right? My work. It's an introduction to the work. We talk about
Okay.
4 types of men, 4 types of women, the 4 things you need to
Oh,
know to
y'all,
promote a
everybody
relationship.
take the class.
Like
Just sign up, sign
just
up.
join it. It's cheap. It's on Zoom.
It
If you
is.
can't make
It's
it
great.
live, I'll send you the recording. Just registered, so I'll put that in the show link below. And
Okay.
I have an event once a month, whether it's live and on Zoom. So
Okay.
again, stick around, everybody. Let's come and continue understanding and learning with things that we don't understand and need to learn about each other.
Sure.
That said, darling, you're
All right.
amazing.
Well, we are amazing. Thank you so much. And I just look forward to it. And everybody, we will see y'all in 2 weeks. And I am Doc Harmony, and this is Andre Paradis. And what is the name again of the
Relationship Real Talk with Dr.
Elise
Harmony and Andre Parody.
Andre Parody? All
Because we
right.
get pretty real. We're getting
We
real,
do.
right? It's not
Real, we're
about
like, I
we're not
know.
sometimes not PC in the name of being real, but
There is
you
no
know,
PC in being real. So there you go.
that's what I'm saying. Like enough pretending.
All right.
Darling, I'll see you in a couple of weeks.